All right. How's everyone doing? Hope you're doing well. So, I think this is going to be the last video for this project here, our Heroes API. Where we left off is we left off building out the powerForm. So you know what? I don't even think I have that baby up. So let me come over here and start it up. Okay, so here is my hero website. I've done a little tweaking to it as far as the styling goes, not much at all. Uh, but I just want to add a couple of things to it just to um I don't know, just help the layout. So far I haven't done again any CSS to it, just letting Bootstrap leverage everything. Anyway, here we go. We have our heroes. And let's say I go to a hero that I did not assign powers to, like Professor X right here, okay? And I have his single page popped up, and we added here on the hero single a link that will allow us to add powers to this hero. And we click on the link, there is our powers listed out as a checklist. And so what should happen is I should be able to click on different powers that this hero has. And then I click on add powers, and it will get stored into our database under our hero to power table, or inside of our hero to power table. And then what it will do, it will be displayed back on the hero single. Okay, so that's where we are. That's where we left off. That's what we want to do. So let me go back to the code, and I had to make a little change to this to make this work in the way that I wanted to. One thing I noticed previously for my name attribute, I just had power here, and I changed it to this here, power underscore ID, and then a square bracket. And I did that because one, I am I'm passing in IDs and not powers. Okay. So in other words, the value, as you can see here, p dot power underscore ID. I want to pass in the power ID and not the actual power, because in the hero to power table, I'm storing the hero ID and the power ID. So I need those two values, not the actual name of the power or the name of the hero. So here you can see the value is power dot power underscore ID, excuse me. And then the name, I have power underscore ID and then square bracket. And the square brackets just indicates that this is and will be an array of different items. So it's not just a singular item. Remember, with a checkbox, uh, we can select multiple items. So we're going to take multiple items and store them inside of an array. And from this array, we will do some stuff. Okay. So in your powerForm, where we created the input, make sure that the name you have power underscore ID square bracket, and then the value is power dot power underscore ID. You got to make sure that you have that to start. Okay. Now, again, you can pause the video right here and make sure that you have that. And then once you have that, we can move on. All right. And we're going to move on right now. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our hero DAO, and we're going to write up this method. And this was the part that it was tricky for me. It was because I was trying to figure out how can I collect the data first as an array, and then how could I loop through the data using the same ID, same hero ID because it's the same hero, and then use the take each power ID and match it with that one hero ID. So that was the issue that I was having, and I looked it up, did some research on it, and figured it out. So what we want to do here is we want to add powers. So I'm going to make a method right here. I'm going to name it add powers. And this method is going to take the request, the response, and the ID as an argument. The ID is going to be the actual hero ID. Okay. And we're going to get the body. We're going to get the power ID array from the request.body. Okay. So I'm going to have this set up right here. And before I do anything else over here, I'm going to go over to hero routes, and I'm going to set this up so we can kind of do some testing here. This is going to be a post method. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say router.post. It's going at the very bottom because this is a post method. So post, and then this is going to be slash power dash post slash colon ID. And this takes a request and a response as an argument. Okay. And so this path here, and I think we may have already added it in the powerForm, but this path here, power slash post slash colon ID, that needs to match what we have here in the powerForm in our action again. So action HTTP localhost colon 3000, and then slash API slash hero. That's our hero routes path, and then slash power dash post slash, and then we're passing in the hero ID. Okay. And again, just for clarity, the hero ID, again, we're passing that in when we created our powerForm. That is one of the properties that we passed in when we rendered the powerForm. So here, powerForm, and we have hero ID, passing that in because we want to make sure that we get that so we can store that here in our action attribute, the URL that we need here, so that we can get it here in hero routes and pass that in to the hero DAO. All right, so that's the idea. So here I want to just, I don't need that extra space. I'm going to say DAO.add powers. And again, this takes a request, takes a response, and we're going to pass in request.params.id. And so that's it for the hero routes. We just want to be able to connect this to that particular DAO. Okay. So now we got that. Let's go back to hero DAO. All right. And so here we have our add powers. So let's do this first. Let's console.log request.body.power underscore ID. So again, this is going to be an array, and I specified that it is an array inside of the form by simply putting these square brackets right here. So power underscore ID and then square brackets. So we're letting Express know that this is going to be an array. So now when I come over here and refresh, and I'm on that guy, Professor X, who he's cool, but he can also be like really weird. It's like, you know, kind of invasive. Anyways, let's see. He's got intelligence. He's got mind control, telekinesis,
Technically speaking, wealth, because he owns that giant mansion,
Yeah.
and he blows it up every year, and then rebuilds it. Plus the private jet and the
he,
whole underground lake thing.
yeah. Oh, that's a good question. How does he get his money? Makes you wonder. Is there tuition for like the mutants? Anyways, all right. So
Well, it
let's.
counts.
All right. So I got intelligence, mind control, telekinesis. All right. And so right. So what I'm gonna do is, all right. Everything's running. Looks good. I'm going to click add powers, and when I do, here I have my array of data. Okay, these are the powers here. These are the IDs, the power IDs that match with that particular power. Okay, cool. So I'm good. And again, I can always go and add more. All right, so I can add wealth for Professor X, um, other stuff, if I wanted to. But there we go. So I have those. As you can see, that is request.body.power ID. Okay, so I have this array here, and this is where I was getting stuck. What I wanted to do was try to figure out how to match or how to pair up the hero ID with the power ID, and I could not figure out how to go about doing that. And so what I thought about doing, what came to mind was eventually was, hey, why don't I map through this ID, this power ID array, and create an object for each item in the array? How about I do that? And so that's what I did. So, and then I will take those objects and store it in a new array. Okay. So what I did was I said, hey, I just called it data. So I said const data is going to get request.body.power underscore ID, because again, this is an array. And so because this is an array, I can map through it. So dot map, I'm going to take each item in that array, and I'm going to return this object, and I wrote it up like JSON. So I said hero underscore ID. That is the proper. That is the field inside of our table, correct? So inside of our hero to power table, we have a property or field named hero underscore ID, and the value for that will be ID. So this way, it's going to be the same thing every single time. And then the other value is going to be power underscore ID, and they're going to pass in an item. And so I wrote it this way because I wanted it to be JSON formatted. I probably didn't need to, but that's what I wanted to do. All right. So here we're taking data, or we're creating an array called data based off of the request.body.power ID array that we have. So now what I'm going to do, now I got that, I'm going to, let's look at data. So I'm going to console.log data. And I just want to check this and make sure that it works. Okay, so I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to refresh this. And I'm going to add again intelligence, mind control, and telekinesis. I'm going to add those three for Professor X. And when I click on add powers this time, I can look and see here it's giving me an array of objects. Each object has a hero ID property, and it's all the same value, and then a power ID, and it has for each power that we've selected that is passed in as a power ID. Great. This is good. So that was the first part that was troubling me. And so the second part that was troubling me was like, okay, well, how do I write up this query so that I can uh, collect each item and store it accurately? Okay. And so what did I do? So here's what we're going to do right here. We're going to loop through the data array using a for each loop. So I'm going to say data dot for each, and I'm going to take each object, just make it simple. And so here's where we write our query. So I'm going to say con.execute, and then we're going to insert into hero to power, inserting into a table, and we're going to say hero underscore ID, comma, power underscore ID. Values, and here we're going to pass in, this is going to be, let's see, $ curly brace, object dot hero underscore ID, put a comma there, $ curly brace, object dot power underscore ID. Outside those parentheses, close that up, comma. And so now we're going to write our callback function. We're going to take the error and a DB response. And this is where it was like, this is kind of where I was getting hung up, because I was trying to format it in the way that I'd done it before. We've been doing it before. We're saying, hey, take the hero and DB response, and if there's no error, then do this. Otherwise, console the error. Well, it would work that way for each and every single one, meaning that it would keep sending the same response, success, whatever, or keep rendering or sending these errors, these multiple errors, and that would make it very hard to find the error, or see, hey, at which point did this block of code ring up or whatever, at which point was it rung up and stop, and it's not working. So what I did here is I just said, hey, if there's an error, so if there's an error at any point, then response.send error. And then we don't need an else right here, not here, okay? Because if there's an error, it's just going to display the error, and that'll be it. There is no else. And lastly, what we need to do outside of the for each loop, we're just response.send and I'll just send an H1 saying posted. So we'll just send this message here saying that, these powers have been posted. And I think that's it. Now, let's go and look and see. Come back over here and refresh this. I'm still on Professor X, but just to be on the safe side. Okay, all heroes. And I don't have them alphabetized. I could. But here, Professor X, I found him. Click on View More. There's his information. Powers. No powers are listed right now. Click on Add Powers. And so I click on Intelligence, Mind Control, Telekinesis. And I click Add Powers. It says it posted. Cool. So that means that there was no error or anything like that, because if there were an error, it would have displayed that error, and that would have been it. So I'm gonna come back over here, go back to Heroes, and refresh this. And let me go find Professor X again. And I click on View More, and there we can see history powers are listed. And again, if I want to add some more powers, I can just click on it and add more powers that he has. Now we haven't done, obviously we haven't done anything with distinct, so I haven't done anything to check to make sure, hey, is this power already listed? You know, is this hero already listed? um are these franchises already listed? That's something that, you know, if you want to go and do that and research, figure out how to do that, go ahead and do that. Fine tune this thing. I'm not making this to be precise and perfect per se. Yeah. What I'm doing is showing you how to apply the logic, how to use Node and Express and all the other features that are in the Node package. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to do. How to put all this stuff together. So that's how to do it. That's how we set that up. Um, as I stated, it took me quite a while to figure this out, and you know, I was, you know, busting my head going through the code and trying to figure out the right logic, and you know, eventually I was able to solve it. So this is it for this lesson here. Obviously you can add rivals, but you'd add rivals the exact same way. Okay, so you create your rival form. You know, you create a link here that would allow you to click on it and click on some text, and it will take you to the rival form, and you'll have all of the characters listed out there. Okay, and then you could select which one is the rival, and then as far as how to store the rivals into that table, it's done the exact same way uh, that the powers, the hero to powers, uh, are listed. So that's it. That's a good challenge for you, and I'm going to leave you all to do that on your own, because we've done 22 videos, and 22 videos is enough for this. So um, I will see you on the flip side when we'll be working on something new. Like, share, subscribe, thumbs up, um, all that stuff. Get his comments, you know, build this bad boy up, uh, because it's almost the summertime, and the executive producer wants to go on vacation. So, executive producer needs some money for vacation to go and buy a bunch of souvenirs. You know, I went to Tulum and all I got was this crummy T-shirt, that kind of stuff. All right, catch y'all later.